wealth and this magnificent view.
Couldn't agree more.
May our kingdoms prosper as beautifully as the stars.
John chapter 14. Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also.
Because see, we're going to have these different nations in slavery, not only on the earth, but also on other planets. That's the glory of the kingdom. We're going to have servants on other planets. We're going to colonize other planets. All right? We're going to expand. You think about this truth, you think about the gospel, you think about the plan of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Hey, you got that one song by Drake, God's plan. When you think about God's plan, it's going to take place on the earth. There's really a blueprint for what's going to happen all throughout the entire universe. For all throughout the entire universe. What we're doing is a part of a blueprint. You know, like this truth is a franchise, and it's going to branch out. It's going to expand all throughout the universe, man. To distant galaxies, you know. So don't be surprised, you know, you brother, the hopeful elect, the Lord give you your own galaxy or your own planet, own planets, and you colonize them, and you implement the laws, statutes, and commandments on them, and you're going to have servants on these planets. All right?
John chapter 14. Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also.
Wealth and this magnificent view.
Couldn't agree more.
May our kingdoms prosper as beautifully as the stars.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem Kakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word and the truth and this sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. All right. And what I want to get into this morning, you know, dealing with another morning news and prophecy. And what we have, you know, brewing up, you know, as I'm looking into the news, you know, is a round two, you know, coming soon for the small hats, all right, in Iran. Okay. Because as we know, a few months ago, they had this 12-day war, all right, between the small hats, okay, and Iran, all right. America, you know, stepped in, you know, politically, okay, to get a ceasefire, you know, between both sides, because it was getting bad, you know, for those small hats. You know, now initially the small hats did, you know, deliver a decisive blow, you know, to Iran, you know, with their airstrike. Okay, and Iran, you know, retaliated, you know, for 12 days after that, you know, and it was getting bad, you know, for those small hats. You know, Tel Aviv was getting pummeled. Okay, so now both sides, you know, have went back to their corners, and you best believe, you know, Iran, all right, and the small hats have been preparing, you know, to lock up again. Okay, and recently what we're seeing moves being made. Okay, that signal. Okay, that they're about, these small hats. They're about at that time. All right, to make another move. Okay, because what you just had Monday. Okay, was the Devils, BB. All right, BB. Say not you. What's his name? Benjamin Netanyahu. All right, what they call him, Satan, not who, now. But yeah, BB as they call him. All right, the Prime Minister of small hats, Israelis. Okay, so he recently came to the U.S. Monday. Okay, and there was some councils, some talks. Okay, and they speculate that he was um discussing, you know, round 2 of this war with Iran. That's what they speculate was in the discussions. And we'll see. Time will tell, but we know one thing, eventually they got to go at it. Okay. And they got to get to the point to where America is fully drawn in. All right. And Russia and China going to be fully drawn in. Okay. And that's going to be the foundation, okay, of this third world war. Okay. And which we know before this thing goes nuclear, all right, there has to be the mandate of the CHIP. That has to come out first. Okay. So we're seeing both things build up at the same time, because you'll hear news about the MOTB, which the big talk about the MOTB is in the UK. They're pushing the digital ID that you have to work. Okay, which that's just a forerunner for the MOTB. The digital ID itself is not the MOTB. Okay, but it's the forerunner. Okay, and setting the stage for the MOTB, which is the RFID CHIP, which is going to be inserted in you. The MOTB is going to go in you. Okay, so as we hear news about the CBDC and the digital ID, and things pertaining, AI, and things pertaining, to the CHIP, the MOTB. Well, we also hear, okay, escalation, okay, and rumors of war, okay, because it's all tied in together, because it's all ushering in the end of this man's kingdom. Okay, so you got Isaiah 46:9 say, "Remember the former things of old, for I am the Most High, and there is none else. I'm the Most High, and there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning, and from the ancient times of things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure." Okay, so what we're seeing is the pleasure of the Lord, all right, being played out in the earth. You see, and we understand what's happening because we understand the Lord's counsel. Okay, the Lord has made us privy to his counsel of what he's going to do in the earth concerning prophecy, man. Okay, so let's go back here, understand these things, everything that these devils are doing, it makes perfect sense. Okay, these small hats, they're doing nothing but playing their role according to biblical prophecy, man. All right, Esau like to boast like he's, doing something cute, doing something, like he's self-willed, and, like he's operating on his time and, his agenda. No, you're operating on the Lord's agenda. Okay, that's why they're doing the exact thing you needed to fulfill prophecy, man. Proverbs 21:1 says, "The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, as the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will." Okay, so these different leaders of these nations, which they're likened unto kings. See, the Bible, is still, all right, reverence, these leaders. Okay, it's kings. The Bible talking king talk, because they know that democracy, is BS. Okay, ultimately, because you have, the upper kings, the overlords, the elites. Okay, then you have these technocrat kings. Okay, then you have, these lesser kings with these, politicians. Okay, but their mind, okay, is in the hand of the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai. Okay, and he has them doing exactly what needed to be done to fulfill prophecy, man. Okay, so I got this video I want to get into. Just going to expound on it. Okay, so let's go here. This is all redacted, you know. Every now and then I have a good little segment, you know, to go into. But let's play this, okay, and then we'll discuss, you know, the happenings, okay, with this situation with the small hats in Iran.
Well, is the second phase of the war with Iran coming? Russia just released a pretty stunning statement. According to Russia's Ministry of Defense, new strikes against Iran are being planned and they are coming. Insiders in D.C. are telling Redacted that this is the case, that this is actively being discussed and ready to move into an action phase now. And just like that, Bibi arrived at the White House for his 4th visit in 8 months. Bibi, the name Bibi makes him sound like just a friendly little fella, huh? Mm-hmm. So he arrives in Washington, D.C., his 4th visit in 8 months. As Steve Bannon pointed out, normally there'd be like a whole color guard welcoming, you know, him. No, there was none of that this time. That's the first time Steve Bannon said he's ever seen that. There was really no welcome dog and pony show for him. And the
small hats are falling out of favor. You know, these wicked, all right, imposters, okay, are falling out of favor of the public. You know, they're not being looked at as a victim, okay, and the hero, you know, and that's how they used to be being treated, but they're not getting that treatment anymore. All right, the UN, okay, walked out on that nigga, okay. You see, these nations are condemning them, okay. So their treatment, okay, of pity, that, you know, of pity and, you know, reverence for these small hats, well, there's waning, okay, and these devils, they're just gonna lose it. You see.
Last time this happened, it happened just days later. Israel and the United States launched part 1 of the war against Iran. So part 2 is coming. Also overnight, a wave of U.S. air tankers have been deployed to Europe. Again, the last time that this happened was right before the attacks on Iran. 8 U.S. Air Force tankers are on their way to Europe. Again, the last time that this happened was right before the attacks. Again, this could be for exercise purposes, as Zero Hedge points out. Also, today, Bibi, Trump meeting discussing the end of the Gaza war. So what's going on here? Sort of a peace plan. Just in, the White House releases a map and details of Trump's Gaza peace plan. Israel will not occupy or annex the Gaza Strip. Gaza will become a terror-free zone, whatever that means, and will be, quote, redeveloped for the benefit of the people of Gaza, end quote, whatever that means. The deal also includes a prisoner swap. Joining us to discuss all of these latest developments is the editor of one of our favorite websites, antiwar.com, is Dave DeCamp. And Dave, welcome back to the show. Great to see you. I also love that you guys were able to get that URL however many years ago. The fact that that URL wasn't already swept up by somebody is pretty telling, that no one wants to talk about being anti-war and pro-peace. It's amazing that you're like, hey, let's look and see if this URL is available. Oh, it is, because people love war. Good to see you, Dave.
Yeah, it is pretty great because it's so easy to remember, antiwar.com. I have to give credit to my boss, Eric Garris, who founded the site. They started it in 1995, so it's been around a long time.
It's crazy to think that no one grabbed that because people are definitely pro-war. So give me your sense of, first of all, just the Russian report that, and the reports that we're hearing at Redacted, I'm sure you're hearing the same thing, that they are preparing for active strikes against Iran. Call it part 2 of the Iran war. We knew that this was coming. You guys, we talked last time that this was an inevitability. Are you surprised by Russia's statement on this?
No, I'm not. I mean, and this is what Iran has been saying as well. The president, the Ayatollah, they're saying, and the military. I mean, basically since the ceasefire, the Iranian military has been saying that they're getting prepared for round 2. And as we discussed last time, you know, if there was no real change when it comes to the situation with Iran, that it was inevitably going to happen again. And a big thing that just happened over the weekend was the snapback sanctions. And these are UN Security Council sanctions that were lifted on Iran in 2015 when they signed the Iran nuclear deal, that the UK, France, and Germany triggered these sanctions to be reimposed. Essentially, they did this because they were set to expire in October. But they did this essentially on behalf of the U.S. And this is a sign that the Trump administration is not really interested in a deal in diplomacy with Iran, because they just put a whole nother big obstacle in the way of any deal, these UN Security Council sanctions. And Russia, why I wasn't surprised to see this Russian statement about the potential attack on Iran. Russia came out very strongly against these snapback sanctions. And Russia and China tried to stop them at the UN Security Council, but that vote failed. And they basically said that, they don't recognize these sanctions, that these sanctions are illegal. So it goes to show Russia's probably not going to follow them, because it doesn't.
Hey, and that's powerful, man. That's powerful, because Russia, saying they're not going to follow those sanctions that's put on Iran. Because guess what? Russia has to play its role in prophecy, man. Okay? And so you're going to get on. We're going to get that, but I'm going to speak a little more. Okay? Showing you that Yahweh Ba'ashim Al-Shai is in full control of the events of the earth, man. All right? The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. Okay? So these alliances that the Bible prophesy, all right, are alive and well. All right? And they're in full motion. Okay? With God, all right, with Magog and Persia,
include an arms embargo on Iran, which, if that's something that Russia implemented, would kind of be a big deal when it comes to Russia-Iran relations, but it doesn't look like they're going to go with that. So yeah, all signs pointing to a war. And a big thing here is Netanyahu at the White House now. So two big things happened today. I'm sure you guys saw that Bibi apparently called up the Prime Minister of Qatar and said he was sorry for bombing them. The White House put out a statement on this. And then Trump and Netanyahu come out with this big press conference. The White House releases this vision for a Gaza ceasefire plan. It's kind of a whole nother topic to get into. But the point I want to make when it comes to Iran is that Netanyahu is a very transactional person. If he's coming to the White House to call up Qatar and say that he's sorry, to publicly agree to this Gaza ceasefire proposal, he's going to want things in return. And I think one of those things could be a commitment for another war with Iran.
Jeez.
With Qatar, so you think Qatar would support this somehow? I mean, we see Saudi Arabia, another power in that region, just looks the other way. That's all they really do. So who else would we need to sign off on a war with Iran?
Well, I think Qatar
said nobody. Okay? They're not waiting on no goddamn Qatar. Okay, to go to war with Iran. Okay, Qatar is a non-factor. Qatar just happened to be, placed in the middle. They just happen to be the country that's right there between, okay, Saudi Arabia, okay, and Iran. Okay, Qatar houses, a major air base for America. Okay, so Qatar just gonna be in the crossfire. Okay, they're not waiting on nobody to sign off. Who had these devils ever waited on to sign off? All right, when they wanted to wage war. Okay, and the Lord has signed off on it in prophecy, man. Okay,
is probably not thrilled about this idea, because they know that if there's another war with Iran, they're probably going to get hit, because we have the U.S. bases are there. So I don't think it's a matter of getting Qatar to agree with it. It's more of a matter of getting Trump to kind of, this whole attack on Qatar, like Trump and the Trump administration claim that they weren't aware of Israel's plans, that they just started bombing them, and we tried to tell them, but we ran out of time. But according to Israeli officials, which in this story I'm inclined to believe them, Trump was notified by Netanyahu before the bombs, the Israeli planes started dropping the bombs on Qatar, and he did not oppose or try to stop it. But so Trump is trying to kind of distance himself from this attack on Qatar, which he does view as a valuable ally. So I think in that sense, this is something that, in a transactional sense, this is something that Trump wanted. Obviously, Qatar wanted it too, but I think this is more of Netanyahu trying to placate Trump to get backing for another round of attacks on Iran.
Yes, I'm wearing my bearskin hoodie. I just had to walk the dog, and it's actually pretty cold out here.
Yeah, so BB, he comes over and he apologizes to Qatar, from DC. And it's all political, okay? And all he's doing, okay, is baiting, okay, America to back him in his campaign, okay, on Iran. Okay, it's all political. You see? So the devil, he comes over here and he's, softening up Trump. Okay? Because the devil, all right, BB, is getting ready to go on another campaign against Iran. It has to happen. This ain't speculation. We speculate when, but we know eventually this has to happen, man. Okay? So let's play some more.
Last week, Trump was asked, what do you feel about Israel annexing the West Bank? Basically just going in full steam ahead because Trump is letting them do it. And he says, no, I'm not going to let them do it. But we can't put any stock in that, right?
Yeah. I mean, with Trump, this time around, it's like I've almost started ignoring his statements on Gaza, on Israel, because he says, for months now, he's been saying, oh, we're close to a deal. And Israel just started this huge offensive to completely destroy Gaza City. If you look at what their plans are, they want to remove the entire Palestinian population and raze every single building to the ground. So they go ahead with this offensive, as Trump's saying that there's some kind of deal on the table, deal about to happen. But when it comes to the West Bank, I think it's important, Israel may not have officially, formally annexed the West Bank or territory in the West Bank, but they continue to expand the settlements, which is de facto annexation. That is Israel taking control of this land. And this new big settlement expansion that they signed off on involves...
Esau word is becoming nothing, because like he just said, he ignores Trump. And the earth is ignoring these devils, man. When these devils make promises and treaties, they done ran into the ground. They done ran everything to the ground, man. Their credibility, okay, which was all based off these nations in fear and these nations, wanting to do business, with the consumers of the West, okay, the consumer society of the West. Okay, so money and war, all right, economics and war has been the leverage that America has had on the world. It's just getting to a point now where these devils lie so much, the world is ignoring, all right, what these devils are talking about, and they're just preparing for war. Okay, even Russia, the Edomite government as well, but they're the black sheep of the Edomites, okay, because they have a special role and purpose, which is to come against the West. They have a special purpose and prophecy, which is to come against the West, man. Okay, so Trump, goes over there to Putin. He tries to talk to Putin from time to time, and Putin just keep waging war, man. Okay, he's not hearing that shit Trump and America talking about, man. Okay, the West has completely lost its credibility in the earth, man, and now all these nations are preparing for war,
forcibly displacing thousands of Palestinians from their homes, from their villages. So this continues, and that's another thing. Trump might be able to get out of Netanyahu, that you're not going to officially declare that you've annexed the West Bank, and in exchange for something. But I think. Netanyahu now, he's going to be going home to a lot of angry members of his government who want the West Bank annexation, who don't want to agree to any kind of Gaza deal. So it's tough to really know what's happening behind the scenes, the deals that he's making. But, I wouldn't be surprised if we still saw some kind of symbolic annexation, them declaring, the settlements officially part of Israel, which I don't want to downplay, because that would basically mean that there's no going back, that the Palestinians are never getting this land back.
Right. I mean, well, as Trump, says in this statement, or as the press release has come out from the statement, this area will be redeveloped for the benefit of the people of Gaza. What does that mean? Who are the people of Gaza at this point?
Yeah, good point.
So just want to know who that, doesn't really make any sense. But I think I want to kind of go back to, I think the Iranian point here that you made is very important, that this is really a bargaining chip, that Netanyahu, or Milikowski, whatever you want to call him, is definitely very transactional. He comes to Washington, D.C. because he wants something in return. He wants the United States air support. He wants the refueling tankers there. We saw that in the case of the UK helping with refueling for missions over Iran as well. So he wants these things in return for some sort of paying lip service to peace in Gaza. We'll do this. We'll work with you on this. You're going to help us bomb Iran. That's really what you believe is happening here.
Yeah, I think it's possible. I think that there's a good chance that that's kind of the behind the scenes dealings. And unfortunately, it's tough to say. I can't say what's going to happen with this Gaza ceasefire proposal. Now Hamas says, they're studying it. There's certain points in it that I cannot, that it's unlikely Hamas would accept, including them disarming. Essentially, their position has been that they'll, lay down their weapons if there's a Palestinian state, or if there's a Palestinian force that can replace them, a Palestinian armed force. And this plan calls for some kind of foreign international force, made up from Arab countries, and also puts Gaza under the supervision of some sort of, I forget exactly what they call it, but they like a peace board that Trump is going to head, and Tony Blair is going to be involved in, apparently. So yeah, there you go. So these are, essentially a foreign imposed government here that they're trying to push for. So they got
this new board of peace over Gaza, and basically devils, they just took Gaza right in front of everybody, through war. They just bombed the shit out of the people. Okay, destroyed the infrastructure. Okay, through what you call carpet bombing, just random, pretty much they use their air force as a demolition crew. So now these devils are about to the point to where they just want to claim Gaza for themselves. So they're forming, the different boards and committees, okay, to determine the future of Gaza. See, these devils think that they just gonna get to carry out all their wickedness, man. They got this going, that going in their mind. They're just gonna get to carry out all these different, wicked agendas in the earth. They're gonna take Gaza. They're gonna have the Greater Israel Project. They're gonna weaken America and wage war. They're waging war on the American citizens. Okay, they're pushing, the CHIP in the EU. You see, they want regime change in Iran, and they want regime change in Russia, and they got, they want to break up Russia and China. See, these devils just got so much going on, man. Okay, and they're just constantly investing into all these wicked agendas. Okay, like their destruction. All right, and they're not about to be dethroned. Okay, so let's play a little more to get a few precepts.
See, probably happening is Hamas kind of responding, trying to amend certain points in this, and then Israel and Netanyahu just saying, well, that's it, they rejected it, time to go,
right,
go back in. And Trump said at the press conference that if Hamas rejects it, we'll back you, to finish 100%. The job in Gaza.
Right.
Yeah, finish the job.
So there you go. And see what they do, they make these peace deals that they know, all right, that Gaza or anybody, they know that these different nations of people that they're fighting, different military governments that they're fighting. All right, in this instance, it's Hamas. Okay, they know Hamas is not going to agree to those peace deals, you know, so they can say, well, look, they can tell the public, well, we tried peace. They don't want peace. So now let's go finish the job. Okay. So this is what we see happening, man. I got to get this again. You know, this is one of my favorite precepts now, dealing with this war, because it's a trap. You know, America is being snared, okay, in the trap of this third world war, because America is going to get the most, okay, America is going to get the worst end of World War III, okay, and they're being ensnared into it, okay. Matter of fact, let's start in 21. Jeremiah 15:21 said, go up against the land of Marathaim, all right, even against it, and against the inhabitants of Pekod, waste and utterly destroy after them, said the Lord, and do according to all I have commanded thee. It's the Lord calling the shots. Yahweh Shem Al Shai is calling the shots on the world stage, man. Okay, that's why these devils, okay, they're subjugated, all right, they're subject to fulfilling, all right, their role in prophecy, man. Okay, there's nothing they can do about it. So you go here to Marathaim, all right, which in the Hebrew is Marah, all right, Marah, Marathon, all right, Marathayam in the Hebrew, so like, and it says a double rebellion, or another name for Babylon. Okay, see, the Lord's getting ready to judge the rebellion of Babylon the Great in the earth, man. You know, which has led all the nations, okay, into the spirit of rebellion. Okay, some more than others, all right. But now, what we're seeing is the Lord getting ready to visit, all right. Would you go in this Hebrew word, all right, for Pekod is Pequod, all right, which means visitation. Okay, a visitation. The Lord is getting ready to visit, okay, this double rebellion of America, man. All right, and he's going to do it by pulling them into a war. All right, and within that war, it's going to be the return of Yahushua. Jeremiah 15:22 says, a sound of battles in the land and of great destruction. Okay, because this war is going to be extremely destructive, man. This war is going to change the whole atmosphere of the earth. You see what these small hats are doing to Gaza? Well, it's going to be a lot of parts of the earth that's going to be war torn, man. Okay, the EU, all right, Russia going to be getting hit. Okay, Iran going to be getting hit. You know, it's going to be, you know, because they got a lot of destructive power with just the conventional warfare, even before it go nuclear. Okay, the land of Israel going to get, you know, obliterated, but it's going to be built back up. Okay, the land of Israel going to be renovated with those missiles, man. Purge, you know, cleanse. You see, in America is going to be a desert. Okay, but the earth is finna go through a renovation phase. Okay, through this war, it says, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Yeah, how is this bully of a nation become a desert? How is their military utterly destroyed? Okay, it's the will of the Lord. It's the judgment. That's the Lord visiting the rebellion, okay, of America, man. It says, I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken. So America is walking right into this trap, okay, by being in cahoots with these small hats. They're walking right into the trap of this third world war that the Lord has prepared for them, man. Okay, America gonna cross a threshold, and it ain't no turning back until this place is a desert, until the Lord has accomplished his anger, man. Okay, on America, man. It says, oh Babylon, and thou was not aware, thou art afraid and also caught. You see? So this devil, you know, I say he's walking right into this trap. And see, what's ensnaring the devil is his ambition. The devil is so ambitious, man. you know, to try to pull this thing off. These devils full of pride. Okay? It says, because thou hast striven against the Lord Yahweh by Shema Shah. Because ultimately, these devils, they're at war without power. Okay? And what he's getting ready to bring to the earth, man, which is a righteous kingdom, the throne of David. Okay? So this devil, he's trying to tighten up his grip on his rulership, but the Lord is loosening his grip. Okay? So he's fighting the uphill battle, and it only gets worse. The hill only gets steeper. Okay, he said the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai have opened his armory and have brought forth, all right, the weapons of his indignation. For this is the work of the Lord, power of hosts in the land of the Chaldeans, man. Okay, and that armory, all right, is the nukes, man. Okay, the Lord, all right, has these nukes. Okay, that he's allowed these nations to possess. Okay, and to perfect, you know, the hypersonic projectiles and the accuracy. Okay, that's the Lord's doing for his purpose against America. Verse 26, it says, come against her from the uttermost border, all right, from the other side of the world. Open her storehouses, cast her up as heaps, and destroy her utterly. Let nothing be left of her, man. Let nothing of her be left. Complete desert, man. Okay? It's going to be a perfect destruction. Complete. You see? Nothing left of America, man. Okay? So, yeah, that's the point. You know, just want to get into that. You know, Lord will. You know, you brothers, all right, and you sisters edified once again. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great example to his younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful. Shalom.